Hello everyone and welcome back. So in this video I'll be showing you how I created this procedural leak mask. I have done this previously by using a simulation, but this time I will be showing you how to do it with cops and some simple vex. So yeah, let's get started. So I will be showing you the workflow in some simple geometry so it's easier to follow along. So basically I'm starting with the box, did some extrusions to create some windows and this inner extrusion, added some normals, in this case point normals, and subdivided the mesh, because the next thing we're going to do is to measure the curvature, and for that we need some resolution, unfortunately, because we don't have this node at shading level. So now we have the convexity and also the concave areas, which will help us to create the leak mask. So, or the leak origin, let's say, where it should streak down. So basically we want leaks on these areas here at the bottom of the windows, and also here and on the top. And for that we need to do some mixing of attributes, and we have almost everything we need. Now we just need two directional masks, in this case using the dot product between the normal and an up vector, in this case the y. So here is the first one, so all the faces, all the prims facing up, and we have a second one which all the prims facing down. And from here we just mix both directional masks with the convexity and with the concavity, and in the end we end up with these masks. So I'm not an expert on this, but this looks like where the leaks should start, at least in a conceptual way, but I'm open to suggestions. So next we create some normals on the vertices and created a p-scale attribute. It's like an attribute randomize for each of the points that we will scatter on these areas. So we have bigger and smaller leaks, but we will see that in a bit. Then I'm creating also two masks at the vertices level, because I want them to be super sharp, as you can see. So this one at the bottom, using again the dot product, is the same workflow, and one at the top. As you can see, they are super sharp because they are on the vertices. Then I'm unwrapping, so let me just get rid of these. I'm just creating a UV unwrap, and these are my UVs. And you notice that all the UVs are super well aligned, and this will not create some possible issues if we feed other type of geometry where we have UVs facing sideways and upside down and so on. So basically we need an attribute that tells us which way is down, so where the leaks should streak down. So for that, just to simulate that problem of the UVs facing other directions, I'm selecting here a set of prims, assigning a new color and transforming it, rotating it upside down, as you can see. And now we will create an attribute, a mask that goes from top to bottom, so a gradient, as you can see in this, by using the relative point bounding box. If I remove this, as you can see, This is from 0 to 1. And now we need to transform this to UV space. So I'm splitting the UV seams and promoting to a point attribute the UVs and placing them, assigning the UV to the position. And we can just remove the visualization. And as you can see, this face right here, if I show the attribute again, as you can see, is not from white to black as it should be. As you can see, this is the front piece. This one is slightly darker to white, so it's upside down. And the idea here, suggested by Swalsh on the CGWiki Discord, which I am very grateful, is to measure that the gradient of that mask that we created. And if I show you that, so mask Y, and we have here the gradient Y, and as you can see, this particular face, the vector is pointing down because we rotated it. So if I remove this UV transform, you can see what it's doing. And this is what we want to orient our streaks, which we will do next. So the idea now is to scatter some points on that mask that we created with the convexity and directional masks. And we create the attributes, in this case the normal, since we want to orient the streaks. In this case I am using the gradient Y and setting the up along the Z, and moving into cops. We can start by importing the points and rasterizing the setup, so we can move it from -1 to 1, which is the space that the cops operates, and creating an SDF shape. Let me resize this. In this case I'm just using a line and creating this streak and converting it to mono, transforming it a bit, and then just stamping the points. And as you can see, that particular tile, if you remember, it's upside down and the leaks are facing this direction, the up direction. And that's because we have that normal attributes that we just created in here with that gradient we measured. So this is basically done. Now we just use those masks. If you remember that we created a two vertex masks with the top and bottom faces or prims, we maximum the two attributes, invert and multiply over those areas. As you can see, it's removing some streaks we don't want. Then we can, for instance, use the streak blur, invert it in this case, and just preview it. And here we have the final result, which is the streaks. And they are obviously too uniform, and as you can see, this is very simplified. You could load a map and randomize it, add some color, you name it. So yeah, that's basically it. That's the same I have done in this particular setup. If I can show you, as you can see, this is the same, but for other set of geometry. As you can see, we have the windows and it's streaking down, and also on the top areas. So where I think it makes sense, but I might be wrong with the formula, so feel free to correct me in the comments. And that's basically it. You will be able to find this particular setup in in my Patreon, on my Patreon, so feel free to grab it there. And other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.